We should do Market Monday from skis, Jess, next time.
I mean, that would be so entertaining for everyone but me. All right. Yeah, we don't want to. I'm like, but Casper's young. And what's up, Casper?
I thought I was talking that whole time.
I saw you talking. I was just like, yeah, he's muted, and I didn't tell you.
That's all right. I hear everything.
I said he's young and he's bouncy. I'm not as bouncy as I used to be. So when I was at one of my listings, I went to a final walkthrough. Young was with me because she's amazing, and I fell in the driveway, and it was horrendous. My legs were up, my head. I bashed the back of my head. I have a dent. I hurt my head.
I know. I meant to ask
my
you.
arm. Yeah, my wrist was bruised. My arm, it's fine now, but it was like I pulled all the muscles, so it was like hard to the touch. It was awful. So be really careful out there when it's freezing when you're in your 40s or beyond. I imagine it doesn't get better with time.
Right. Oh.
Ski yesterday and took my skis off for 2 downhill sections of my cross country ski.
You took them off?
Because I just walked down because I'm like, I'm not risking this.
100%.
Down the power trails, Megan.
That was Megan, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Down power line trails and like hiking trails. That's what I do.
Oh, nice. That's great. But you have to go down at some point, don't you?
But yeah, I go downhill. That's all I do.
But you gotta be super careful not to like hit somebody walking.
Nobody walks in the winter.
How do you know that? It could be someone like Rich. Like Rich is taking a listing over there and he's walking the woods.
Nah.
And then you hit Rich. And then I'm screwed.
Oh.
All right, Rich. You okay? You ready? You got your shit?
Yeah.
We're good.
All right. Is our pre-class chat over, Jess?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Let me share my screen. Welcome to, you want to start recording, actually? Let me do that.
I did. All of that was recorded.
Oh, we are? Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good to see some relatively new faces. I don't think I've ever done a class with Ashley before. That's exciting. And Michelle, I haven't seen you in a bit. So welcome. All right. I will share my screen. We'll go right into our typical process here, which is to, oh boy, I have a lot of stuff open. Typically, we will go over the ODBR stats they share monthly, and then we'll have any chance for dialogue and chat as we go. By the way, once I start sharing stuff, I can't see you guys as easily, so just shout at me or interrupt. That's perfectly fine. And I don't tend to want to just talk me, but I'm the one that highlighted the stuff.
Sometimes you should pause and take a breath, and then other people will talk when you pause.
Yeah, it's easier it's harder when I'm looking at a document and I can't see you guys.
I know.
Okay, so we actually have really interesting January stuff to look at.
Yeah.
I don't know where I can really put that. So they always put 3 numbers as like the big data snapshot, and they got above 15% in 3 key metrics of change, and they're all positive numbers. So we've got 16.7% increase in closed sales. That's versus last January. Okay, just so you know, this is the same month a year ago versus the same month a year ago.
Yeah, an incredible January.
So it's a big change. And then we're almost 19% up in median sales price from January 2025, and 1 year change in all properties for homes for sale is up 17%. So that's the inventory category. So we'll look at the text from the left side column here. Hopefully you guys can see that. By the way, this is available for anyone in the Matrix, the New York State Association of MLSs. This is available. They put it out as one of those news pop-up things. And whenever you do that, is what I do. I just download it the first time I see it, and then I have it saved because they're hard to find later on, but they do exist. You just have to kind of go to that Matrix login page, the portal page. Anyway, They start with some general national trends. And by the way, if you wanted to hear more about how 2025 went as a whole, Jess and I kind of focused on that last month, and that's recorded. And we actually did it for our podcast. So if you want to see a 2025 market analysis more comprehensively, we did that. But now, since we're starting a new calendar year, it's really going to be more month versus the same month last year, because we don't have a lot of built up data for 2026 yet, because we're in the very first month. Anyway, so big news, actually. U.S. existing home sales climbed over 5%, which is a big deal, month over month, and 1.4% year over year to a seasonally adjusted annual prediction of 4.35 million. If you pay attention to the space, that's actually quite a bit above where it's been. The predictions in recent months have been just over 4 million units. So averaging or anticipating 350,000 more homes sold in the country is kind of a big deal. And all the predictions for 2026 were along these lines. Most professionals thought that we'd have a much larger number of transactions this year compared to years past. It's kind of been that slow wait for the interest rates to creep down, the slow wait for inventory to build up a bit, and it's all kind of supposed to happen this year. Lower mortgage rates and slower home price growth have helped spur buyer activity. That's what's doing that. Although in the Northeast specifically, actually we've had a decline. So that's a national picture, but in the Northeast it's actually down a bit. Although our MLS was up, so it's all over the place. Now we're back to local MLS stuff. New listings in our MLS are up 21% to 92 homes listed in January. That's a pretty good January compared to last year.
Oh yeah.
Pendings are up almost 7%. And again, inventory continues its slow march towards healthiness with we're up to 427 available homes in the MLS. The big one that we keep talking about, Jess, constantly is how our median and average sale prices continue to just march on forward in a positive direction. Median went up 18.8% from last January, where it was just about 200K, and now the median home is 237. It's a big difference. Days on market, however, this is a converse concept, but days on market somehow increased 38% to 72 days. Now, what that means.
I was waiting for that. Yeah, I feel like, it seems like it's been shorter, but I do see stuff sitting and sitting and sitting. Some stuff is selling relatively fast, but I did expect that to creep up a little bit. So that doesn't shock me.
I think it's a combination of things. And again, I hesitate to put a whole lot of faith in any single month's data. So I hold it as an outlier, but still, the longer that you have available inventory on the market, you're almost bound to end up selling some of that stuff, even if it is overpriced or whatever. It might not sell for that list price. It might drop, the list price received metric, but you're still going to end up selling at some point, most likely. And it might just have been on the market for a while. So, typically inventory increasing and days on market are kind of aligned.
So that's that, but that's like what you're saying too, is like that's the older inventory actually selling, because then the days on market actually gets clocked. So it's good, buying them up.
Yep. And our month supply of inventory is 4.4. That is actually still going up as well. So that's increasing towards our golden balanced market of about 6 months supply. And then they go back into some national stuff real quick to conclude here. Nationally, there were 1.18 million homes for sale going into January. That's down from the previous month, but 3.5% higher compared to the same time last year. So more than there were last year. Nationally, 3.3 month supply. So nationally, it's a bit lower than ours. And what else did I want to notice? The median nationally is only up 0.4%. So even though our price point is lower than the nation, we are continuously on like the better trend of property valuation increases. Like we've been talking about this for 6 months straight, Jess. I'll show you later on in the graph, but there's no stopping our increasing median and average home prices.
Well, yeah. And I always say it's, we are in one of the lowest price points nationally. So people are, as you know, there's a lot of money just south of us, 3.5 hours. And those people are, looking to get out of the city. The worse and worse it gets and more crowded it gets and all that stuff. So Yep, it's going to keep going up as long as people still want to buy a cute little country house.
Yep.
Any questions before we kind of go past that? How'd that land on you guys? Did you digest that? You have questions on any of these? No, that sounded good. You followed. Everybody's happy. All right. Okay, so we'll keep going.
Okay. So then we go to page 2 of this report, which is always this sort of I might have to zoom out a bit. No, I'm okay. They do this summary. So the way it works is the first page is the overall summary. Then I like this secondary page, which is all of the various metrics combined on one page. And then they have separate pages for a deeper dive onto each of these things. But I like this summary sheet. So things that I thought were interesting, I've highlighted. Our new listings are up 21% compared to January of last year. That's 92 listings. And that's better than it's marginally close to even what it was in 2024. So we're getting back to some interesting, healthy market numbers.
That's high anyway for like just looking at, I feel like that's a really good number in general. Like that would be a good number in April.
Well, I'll show you some stuff that
I think that would be.
It is all context. So what we've seen since about mid to late 2023 until now, we've actually been in this sort of a low transaction slump around here. Again, mirroring that national low volume of sales trend. So if you look back at 2022, 21, 20, 2014, 2015, there were easily 100 plus listings every January. So this is not exactly like a booming market, but it's better than it has been. And it's getting
like 45, 60, maybe 60 if you're lucky, 50. Like I feel like that would be where it has been.
Yes. And then pendings have been about the same. Again, that's a pretty small difference between 58 last year and 62 this year. So that's just a couple homes. I don't put a ton of stock in that, but we are up 14, homes closed. And if you look at this bar graph here, look how much higher we are carrying out this late 25, early 26 compared to late 25, early late 24, early 24, early 25 graph there. So that's closed sales. Closed sales are good. That means sellers are getting paid, agents are getting paid, buyers are into new houses. That's kind of a cool thing to have happening. Days on market, again, we've had 2 straight months where days on market shot up. So maybe that is just clearing out some of the old inventory. I don't know specifically. It went pretty rapidly up to that point. And then the next 2, I still I'm kind of wondering when is it ever going to chill out around here, but our median went up to 237 and our average is now up to 267. And if you look at that graph, those are the highest they've been since a couple of years at least. So those, and they're not correlated to the price jump that we saw so dramatically during the post-COVID frenzy, I keep calling it. It just never really, it did stabilize a little bit, but it never really normalized, right? We're still selling houses for higher and higher prices compared to the nation. This is we are an outlier. And I don't know who else is noticing, but we are definitely an outlier region
then more people notice and then more people want to come here. So then it keeps going up. I feel like the attention just means more sales.
Yeah. Percent of list price is one that caught my eye. Percent list price is getting down below 95% for the first time in a while. So it's one that I've historically said I don't pay a ton of attention to. But if we start, if we start getting down to the 92, 93% of list price, then that's a real indication that buyers are really getting power, and or that because I've personally had this opinion that sellers and maybe agents by correlation are finally getting the idea that although I just said prices keep going up, I still think that asking prices should kind of come down or at least stabilize or normalize or drop, and they're just not. But if you keep asking a huge price, eventually you're going to get less of it. So I think that's the trend we're seeing. It's a hard buyer's market, and that's what leads us to the next one.
It's trying to balance itself out, right? So you have the sellers that still want to list high because that's what they've been used to, And so this is why we do this. So you guys have this knowledge to go back to a seller and say, listen, you know, yes, prices are up. And then also days on market looks longer. That's an indicator that, you know, higher price inventory is not selling. And the percent of list price received is going down. Another indicator that buyers are a little bit more in control. So you want to balance them. You want to, you know, cool off the hot and heavy a little bit and make sure, you know, there's no harm in pricing at or just under market. You can't underprice a house. You can't, because then you're just going to have a ton of offers. So sellers are afraid, I don't want to give the house away. You can't. We have such a strong market, even as it's trying to balance itself. You're not going to give your house away. List it for $1. Go ahead. I think Josh did that, didn't he?
Yeah. If you want to have a busy weekend, you want to have a busy weekend, list a house for, you know, 50K below what you think it's worth and see what happens. You know, the problem is you don't know.
And your sellers get more. Yeah.
The problem, Jess, is if you go too extreme with that logic, I understand for sake of argument, but like, let's say you did list 50K below, then you're confident that it actually has that 50K above value, you can't guarantee that you'll get to there. Whereas if you had started,
50K is extreme. I think for example, if your comps tell you, just give you a quick example. If your comps tell you, say 265, I'm coming in at 249. So I'm not gonna, you know, make a ridiculous, you know, a ridiculous jump, but I think, you know, maybe it's coming in at 315. All right, let's try 299, because then you're going to capture those buyers looking up to 3, and then you can definitely bid them up. So that's what I kind of mean. That's what that looks like in my world. I don't want to make it a ridiculous. Yeah, because I also don't like to create an environment either where people are going to get upset or pissed off, or they're going to have a negative experience with us either as listing agents. You don't want the buyers to have negative experiences either, or the other agents to think, oh, this person just lowballs everything and then it goes to a friggin' highest and best. We don't have to do that. We have a strong enough market where, you know, you don't have to do that. You're going to get a good price regardless. It's just the conversation is on the seller side. You don't have to overprice this thing. Let's price it where it makes sense to get activity, and then you're going to get more than you even hoped for.
and that is a good philosophy. That is where Jess firmly aligns on that. And this is one where I'd almost love to have a bit of a discussion on, but that isn't everyone's opinion. And most sellers, do I want to generalize? Maybe a little bit. I think most sellers don't want to underprice their home. It just doesn't sound right. I know what you're saying. I know your logic, and you're right. But just to placate me, the other side of it is everyone has their own strategy. I like options of strategies. I like to present options.
Yes,
so someone could take your 265 market value that you just mentioned and say, okay, well, could we list it 285? And now you're like, okay, well, you know, let's have a conversation about what that looks like. And if they end up, after you have a conversation about the buyer frenzy at 245 versus the list price at 285 and maybe being patient, at the end of the day, I personally think that the client, the seller, should be the one making the call on how they want to run that strategy. And I'll run it with them and for them. But I don't think it should be an agent heavy-handedly saying, this is how you have to do it, personally. I like telling, there's a few ways we can do this.
1000%. And actually, I've been able to witness Rich in listing presentations. Haha, lucky me. And the way that he handles these seller objections, and I didn't even say this to you, Rich, but was like amazing the way the seller had all these kinds of worries and things and didn't even want to be on the MLS. And Rich is like, yeah, let's talk about that, and sort of agrees with them on this crazy thing that automatically everybody else on the planet wants to go, no, don't do that. And just watching the way he masterfully, sure, yeah, let's talk through that. So I think that's a great strategy anyway. Like, you never want to go at your seller hot and heavy anyway. You never want to have so strong of an opinion or an emotion around it that you isolate how they feel and you can't now come to a meeting of the minds. But I watched Rich tell this guy, oh, sure, yeah, well, let's talk about that. Sure, that does mean that could be a negative, but here's what I found. And it was like, I watched him just bring this guy all the way back to this realistic listing now that we get to do, which was awesome. So anyway, kudos to Rich. But yeah, so this information
welcome to the let's big up Rich hour at
well, I'm just saying that was because our instinct, and I think most people want to be like, no, dummy, don't do that. You're going to overprice it. No, dummy, do it this way. But you can't. You also do have to partner with your client, listen to them, let them talk through it. let them feel really heard, and then it's easier to guide them where you as the professional believe they should be. But like Rich said, it needs to be their decision, but you also have to know how to talk to them and educate them in a way that they hear it and you're not arguing. There
Right.
you go.
That's
was
super
a
well
lot.
said. That's
Yeah.
well said. Like, and a part of that is like, okay, are you okay with 72 days on market, right? Or would you rather it be 20 days on market? It's really
Yeah.
your call at the end of the day. I'm going to do my best for you, but I'd like to know your mindset going into this process, because we're going to work together. And I want you to know, if you choose that 285 path, there's going to be potentially some patience involved versus, you know, the other way it could go. So I just think it's important to kind of expectation set with everyone in general.
Yes.
Like if you can help them to understand what might be coming down the line, then it sort of reaffirms your professionalism along the way when it does end up potentially going the way you predicted it.
Exactly. Yep. And then actually they're probably more willing to listen to what the next options could be that you know, can make a recommendation, and most likely then, yeah, they're going to play ball.
So that was a big tangent off a list price, but I like that little tangent. And again, I can't see you guys, so please, it doesn't have to be just Jess and I yelling at each other.
We're not yelling. We're actually getting along pretty nice this week.
housing affordability. Housing affordability. I will say this. This continues to be one of my main concerns. And this is something that's just super tied into bigger. This is a bigger discussion. This is American life. This is life in New York or life in America nowadays. And it's a hard go. I mean, we all grocery shop. We all shop for goods, and it's tough. Everything is more expensive. There are regions of the country where homeowners insurance is 20 to 25% higher year on year. That's a significant amount. Utility costs are going up for most people that I know. So it's I constantly am, when I'm talking with buyers nowadays, I'm constantly talking about cost of living. I don't know if you are, but I would advocate for it. So it isn't just what's the price of the house. It's what is the house going to cost to run? What's the house going to cost for my monthly budget? Because the last thing you want to do is stretch a little bit for that house and then find out, oh, it's really adding up here.
Oh yeah.
You know, so anyway, that affordability index, that is an actual number that they run off of the average, the quote unquote average, the average buying unit. If they were to purchase the average home, this is a scale of how able they are to do it using a conventional mortgage. So like a 10% down mortgage. This is a scale of that. And we are earlier in 2025, we hit a historic low. It dipped into like 120, which is the lowest point I've ever seen on a 25-year scale of this metric. So not good reading if you want to afford a home. But that's why we're here to be creative as agents for our buyers.
And again, we talked about that too, that the average home buyer is now in their 40s.
Yeah. The average first time buyer.
Yeah.
The average first time buyer is
first
40.
time they ever buy a house. Yeah, absolutely.
The median home buyer is 59 years old.
59. Yeah. That puts it into perspective. I think when you say, okay, these are numbers on a graph, put that into perspective. You got to be in your 40s before you can afford your first home. Absolutely terrifying. Mm-hmm. It's like 20 years too late. People used to buy houses right out of high school, right out of college. People used to buy things because you could get a house for $20,000 or $80,000, and it's just not. What's that, Casper?
Man, I got a long time before I can buy a house, huh?
No, you're gonna be okay, buddy. We're gonna take care of you.
I'm gonna be.
I just bought my house, and I'm 27.
That's amazing. See, congratulations. So we're gonna break the mold. Congratulations, honey. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I think that's how old I was. Yeah, I was 27 when I closed on it was February of 2007. My age is the year. Isn't that fun? So I was 27. Okay.
Sometimes, honestly, I wish that because when I got my real estate license, I had just over 12 grand in the bank. And I was like, I'll get into real estate because that's how people make money. And sometimes I just saved up a little more and tried to buy a house way back then. Sometimes, but we're building an empire here now. So
that's right. You're building a business, and it costs money, and it costs you time, and time is also money. But we're gonna get you there. Hang in there, buddy.
Now, and it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah,
It
if you
does
can
feel-
survive the first year, survive the first 2 years, you're in a very elite group of professionals at that point, because 80% of them don't make it.
Yeah, it's such a good point. The first, I mean, if you're doing it the way you should be trying to talk to as many people as you can. They're not all going to do business in the first year you talk to them. They're not all going to do business the second year you talk to them. But if you keep being good to them and you keep them in mind in the long term, hopefully you're the person they think of when it comes the time for them. And then that's when year 3, year 4, year 8, year 35, things get a lot easier. So this is the easiest business to get into. That's the hardest to get started in. That's the easiest to maintain once you're actually good at it. It's such a weird thing, but it's true. All right,
ahead,
and then
Megan.
we have,
I saw Megan unmute. Go ahead, honey.
Say that one more time. What did you just say? That whole I just need to keep telling
Just
myself.
hear it. She wants to hear it again. Rich, go.
What did I say?
It's the easiest business to get into.
because you have to study for like 5 hours and you got a license. And
No.
then, it's the hardest to start to really do your own business because it's hard. But then once you're established, you almost have to do nothing but like let people that talk to you, and you're like, I'll help you.
It's easy again. You got to get through the hard part. Yep, for sure. That is perfectly said. And when people have a hard time with this business, they need to hear that it's freaking normal. There's always going to be something you don't know. There's always going to be something that trips you up. There's always going to be deals that fall apart. The most successful agents have been through all of that and then some. They've gotten their asses kicked out here, but they just kept fighting. So don't give up.
Yep. And then the rest of this, if you haven't seen, the rest of this is just individual pages on these specific things. I might zoom out one button so we can see the graph below. But this is essentially all redundant, but I might just point out a couple of little like longer term trends, because the difference here is on these pages, you see a line graph that goes back to 2013. So now you're getting a longer term view of how these seasonal and or trends kind of happen over time. So where did we go? The new listings, I just wanted to show you, for example, like 92 feels good when you look at last year. But if you really look historically, 92 doesn't feel that great, because we've had Januaries that were, in the 150 range. So it's all relative, right? Back in the steady market of the 2014 to 2020 timeframe, those were pretty steady years, and they were all.
I know, and COVID broke everything. It really did.
had.
COVID broke everything.
Pending, I didn't really want to mention too much because it was a smaller sample. And this was, I wanted to show this on closed. So we had a strong chain. Look at this continual, a little bit there, but we had this continual increase from October, November, December, January, all positive closed sales numbers, trending upwards, even though our 12-month running average is still down 5%. But if you look at the late trend, we're trending upward in that.
Yep.
And then
this is us trying to pull up out of the shock of, COVID is actually still affecting us in ways. So is this pulling up? Every graph, if you look at where that line is for January of 2020, every single graph that you've pulled up, it's completely different on the right side of that. Every single graph. So. Yep.
Our days on market, again, we had that little spike here. This isn't really showing that, I don't think, properly. Yeah, maybe it is, but either way. Again, if you look historically, days on, it wasn't that long ago that we were looking at 150 days on market. So get your 6-month listing agreement polished off.
Yeah, no, I can't. That's gonna kill me. I don't want to marry these people.
And then I wanted to show some median stuff again. This is maybe the data point that I personally can't get my head around. This was stable, Then you had Jess. You had what I can't draw a trend line on here. I wish I could, but your trend line would be like a 14% slope here or something like that.
Yeah.
But then after about 2023, most areas of the country, it went back to a semi-straight line, kind of like that prior decade. But ours just hasn't. In fact, it's gotten wilder. Look at these wild swings, but we're still trending way up. It's just, I can't personally get my head around it.
Yeah,
if you look at the median, now this is the prior to February of 2025. So that's February of 2024. The median sold home was 151. And now we're closing out at a median of pretty consistently 236, 236, 237, 225, 265 1 month. So I mean, we're talking about 2 years ago, it was 151.
No, I know. I remember. Yeah, no. When I took over the office, August of 2022, I think it was like 130 something, 134 or something like that. And I was like, "Where did I come? What happened to me? I left $950,000. Actually, the city's down a little bit. The average sale price in the city now is $850, so they're coming down significantly.
Yep,
I wouldn't want to be there because they're losing hundreds of thousands in equity. Ooh, I want to throw up. Here, where at least we're gaining it.
Yeah, that was on that the top summary was that the Northeast was in a decline. And that might have been sales, not sale price, but either way. Northeast in general, I don't know. We're just in this weird, like our central New York enclave is just a kind of a unique little hub.
It's just us. We just have good luck. We just have good vibes. We're keeping it going. Keep your good vibes up, guys.
I don't know, man. If I owned a home and you kept telling me, hey, man, every month you're going up 10% in value, I'd be a pretty happy homeowner. I'll tell you that. That's a pretty nice little equity ad.
Well, then you got to sell at the peak. When is the peak coming? You never know.
It's not sustainable forever. And as realistic people who also buy groceries and have to make things work, I really do feel the pain of your quote unquote everyday buyer. It's, I don't know what the solution is, but we can't make prices go down if buyers keep buying the houses at the higher prices. That's what a market is.
Yeah.
And then the average, I'm not going to geek out on it too much, but the average was very much the same. Again, still increasing significantly, 8.7% 12-month average increase. And again, we had a spike in October at 336 all the way up there as an average price point. But that was more of an anomaly, but still we are creeping up into the mid upper 260s now as an average sale price in our 4-county MLS. And then that percent list price, this is where I just wanted to note for you guys, we've been fluctuating around 96% since the post-COVID era. This is one of the first few times that it has dropped below. And a trend I never noticed before in all the years we've done this, Jess, I've never noticed how there's this significantly consistent drop in percent of list price around the new year. It's that December to January drop, which I never really focused on.
It might be people are like, hey, I had to sell by the end of the year. I didn't. I need to get realistic and just dump this house.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation of that. I don't know, but it's my knee-jerk reaction to that.
Yeah, because then I was looking at it, but we've had obviously we were at like 92%-ish was kind of the trend for a long time. And we even had that, we flirted with that back in February of 2024 also. That was that mark down there.
What's interesting too is that we're going to do a podcast maybe later today about like myth understandings, like the shit like buyers and sellers say to you that they've heard their cousins say or their uncle say or their father sold a house 45 years ago. And one of the myth understandings would be you get the most money in the spring, but this kind of shows you you get the most of your list price not in January.
It kind of does confirm that, actually. Yeah, it
actually confirms it's not a myth. Actually, you're going to get more money in the warmer months up here for sure, and in January you're going to give it away. But no, we honestly, I mean, I know it's our stuff that we put up now is not going to close yet, but I wish our like there's data on, you know, the stuff that was listed in January. Because again, just as the market center, just as an example, you know, we closed 25% of everything in the MLS. So we're a driving force in those numbers. We are company dollar, which is basically how many agents paid into the company was like at 74,000 or something like that, which our average has got to be 40, 50,000 is a good month. I mean, year over year, January, I think last year we did 26,000 or something. It's like, wait, what? More than double company dollars. So that's more sales. That's more agents doing business. It's more homes coming off the market and closing up. it actually was an incredible January just for our market center. And you guys probably saw at the team meeting, I think there's like $9,000 in profit share being paid out on January. So it is itself an anomaly. We don't usually see spikes like that in January, but we'll see. Remember, we were saying we don't know when the market's going to start this year because it's just been so weird. It actually started in January, which is even freaking weirder. But there it is.
Yep, all well said. And again, I'm not going to harp on it, but that's a look at your affordability index. Again, it's not a number that means anything apart from it's an index. So it's not like a percentage. It doesn't have a what is it? A unit associated. It's just literally an average, but it's not good. It's not been healthy for a little while now, and I'm worried about most human buyers. But yeah, the low was in September of 2025. Okay, and that I think concludes most of what I wanted to say. Just to wrap up, again, inventory is kind of one of those catchphrases, and you'll see lots of national articles on inventory. You should definitely know in the back of your head which way it's trending locally. We're trending up. If you look at everything since June has been a positive inventory trend. We're trending 3%, 6%, 17%, 11%. We are going up. So it's creeping up there. And the 12-month average is up 6% compared to prior years. And again, to look at that longer term trend line, these were pretty big peaks and troughs for our seasonality. We've had seasonality, but much less pronounced. And I think we're starting to see that kind of revitalize.
Okay, more houses. Yeah, you'll have more seasonality. I mean, yeah, more.
Yep.
Would be good.
And that's your month supply. We talked about that too.
And
was hovering.
And this morning was I know none of us are at family reunion, which I'm super sad about, but this morning was Gary Keller's vision speech, and I've been like salivating all morning. I missed it. But I'm excited to get my hands on any slides or anything that he went over, which he'll give a very comprehensive look back at 2025. So maybe our next Market Monday we'll review some of those slides, because that was all my content for the whole year, just being able to talk about on a very high level all the trends for 2025. And they do make a prediction, you know, and he makes his own prediction, and we have a chief economist at Keller Williams, but also they take into consideration all the other chief economists and people keeping an eye on our industry, and they make a pretty solid prediction, which I think is probably going to be in line with what we've been talking about anyway. And who is it? Lawrence Yun, is he with NAR? Is that
Lawrence Yun is NAR's chief economist?
Yeah. So he's not been wrong. So so it would be interesting just to kind of see what came out of that vision speech, because that's just our real estate economics for all of 2025. Once you kind of fall in love with the numbers, some of this stuff, you know, I was never into research and numbers and things. I operated as an agent for a very long time. I never even knew my numbers. I had the Keller Williams team leader call to recruit me, and she goes, "Do you know that you closed $12 million last year in volume?" I was like, no. I was like, I didn't even know what that means. No one had ever talked to me about numbers or looking at my business. And then once I kind of started to focus on that, at least it gave my business context, and it gave my sellers and buyers context. That's really why we do this for you guys, so that now you can go have a higher level conversation. Let people know, listen, we're getting, you know, there's more inventory coming on every day. So we want to make sure we're priced well, because we're going into a balanced market. I mean, you know how smart you sound just with that sentence. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that you guys have those conversations on a high level. To get client trust.
So as usual, I have a couple of auxiliary little like blurb article things. We could cover some headlines and not do a deep dive on it, or we could call it early, questions. Or we could just chat. We could just chat and see what you guys are seeing in the market. Any anecdotes, any trends, anything like that, or questions while we're here. I never like to just consume the whole time with Jess and I just kind of talking at you. But if you don't look at data that often, we feel like this monthly review is kind of used. It helps me. It helps me to know what conversations I want to have with people.
Yep. So we're gonna look at it anyway, and you know. So we might as well share it. Might as well share it with you guys. So any questions, any thoughts? I mean, if not, that's okay too. Maybe it was clear and you feel good and you feel prepared for your next seller conversations for the next 30 days in your buyer conversations. If you guys feel prepared, then we're happy about that.
Oh, you know what? Along the lines of a family reunion. So there was an article just released today about Keller Williams, and I'm sure it's probably announcement that people that are at family reunion are probably hearing left and right. It's, you know, they always roll out big announcements like, oh, we got a big new thing we're gonna let
Oh
you
my
know
God,
about.
what is it? Don't leave me in suspense. What is it?
They are they're open. It's command news. Wah, wah, wah. But they're saying that they're opening command to third-party developers, meaning they already do integrate well with several third-party like apps and things, but they're opening up their development platform much more easily to those developers. So think potential like ChatGPT integration, or think, you know, anything along those lines that might happen.
I mean,
It's
that
going to make
sounds like good news. Yeah, because
easier for those companies to do that. Like how, you know, how they announced Canva, it's sort of like along those lines. Now other companies would be able to integrate into Command easier, making it in theory a better piece of software for us to use, kind of your one-stop shop. I think that's what they would like it to be. So that's, I'm sure, the big rah announcement at family reunion happening right now.
it takes years. So I mean, that's great. That all sounds like good news to me. And then like talking to one of our agents, I'm like, yeah, we've integrated Canva. She's like, I've had Canva for 10 years. So I love that. And I think it's forward movement for sure. Opening it up to other developers also says to me, maybe other people are going to be able to make the improvements just with the overall platform that we need. That sounds like a good idea to get some more input.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually the command system. I think it's integrations.
Okay.
Making your, you know, I think it's more like your login to this will get you in, you can do it through command, versus like, I don't know, some, you know, Compass's CRM company is not just going to swoop in and become command, right? That's not what's going to happen.
Right.
But either way, it's an improvement. And then super quick, what was the other headline I wanted to mention? You need like a mindset boost type thing. Quick article from Jimmy Burgess, who writes articles for Inman, mostly on like just how to feel better as an agent, and kind of like, not necessarily mindset, but just like get your systems in line to make things easier.
Oh no, we need mindset. Talk me off the ledge.
He goes over how to get off the feast or famine real estate roller coaster. Yeah. How obviously we're so focused on the now business, because we kind of have to be, that it's hard to manage the stuff that's in different pockets of distance away. So he's talking about a 3-lane pipeline where you have your now people, your 18 to 20 people that you can literally actually pay attention to and care about. And then they're working their way through their process, your current sellers, your current buyers, your current contracts, your things that just closed, so you're still managing. And then, but you always need to add on your new buyer, your new seller, your new thing into that pipeline. That's the now. And that's easy to manage because that's like, it's consuming us. But then there's lane 2, which is your soon people. That's your 6 to 12 month out pipeline. And those are hard conversations to have because they're much more nebulous. They're not as exact on, oh, I might list next spring. That might be literally 2 springs from now. We don't really know. You know, the longer out it is, the more ambiguous it is. So the soon people are the people you want in your, you know, your monthly newsletter. You want them in your bi-monthly, you know, market report that you email out to everyone, where you are on a video and you look professional to them. And they're like, oh gosh, my agent is so smart and they actually care to give me an update. You don't want to bombard them with 17 texts a week, but you do want to occasionally give them something of value. And that's the soon. And then the later is the much longer term nurture. You know, they'll do business eventually, or they'll refer business to you if you stay top of mind. So it's similar, but it's just a lot less, even less like, are you ready yet pressure. It's just kind of like, I just want to be present in your life in a way it's manageable for you. Again, I'm offering you some content or some features or some insight. And what they're saying is like, even for those later people, they might be 5 years down the road, like once in a while, you should still see something that pops up, an article or a listing or a farm that's similar to theirs. And you should say like, I just want to send this to you just so you see what a farm that's just like yours is selling for now, or is on the market for now. that little thing means a lot. Just to say,
Mhm.
gosh, that caught my eye and it came across my mind. I thought that's similar to that cabin that you wanted to look for in a couple of years when you're ready to retire, but that's what that cabin is going for now. Like that's a
Mhm.
good agent that has that person in mind, even if they know they're not ready to transact right now.
Mhm. Definitely.
And then he talked about the 5x5 daily momentum system in the same article. That's essentially, you know, if you need to track yourself to keep yourself on task, make 5 phone or in-person real estate conversations, send out 5 personalized texts, 5 direct messages, DMs, 5 personalized emails, and 5 thoughtful social comments. So if you can do those 25 things on any given day, you're gonna be making those connections that you need to make long term. So if you need like a checklist, if you're a checklist person. And then there's a little bit of sorry, he rounds it. It's a 3-part article. I'll stop talking over you. He rounds it out with a little bit of reflection. So it's like the weekly, as an agent, as a professional, as a business leader, you should look at your own momentum, your own process for that week, and ask yourself a couple of introspection, a couple of reflective questions. You know, what conversations this week generated real estate momentum? Was that from an open house? Was that from a specific social media post? Was that through a random text when you saw a listing that was similar to the cabin the guy wanted? Was that from a community event? Was that from you grocery shopping and talking about someone's cute shoes? Whatever it was, what got you like a cool boost that you didn't expect? And then obviously lean into whatever gave you that boost, because that probably came organically from you and who you are. And that's the stuff that really, you know, registers with people. And then secondarily, what conversations were the highest quality conversations you had? So what felt the best? What resonated with you the best? And then what will move my business forward in the coming week? So ask yourself that every week. What will move it forward? Who's closest to converting from soon to now, moving them from those pools of people? Who needs clarity? Who needs confidence? And who needs one more touch point? And that was the end of that article. So anyway, those are those.
I just want to double down on. I just want to double down on that though, because that's a really good. Nobody ever. I don't want to say nobody. Most agents don't hold their systems accountable. So, for example, you know, what was the conversation that moved the needle? Where did that conversation come from? Once you can start tracking where your business comes from, then you need to pour your time into those avenues, and that's what a lot of agents don't do. They just keep trying to circle everything and trying to do everything, and it's exhausting. You can't. You have to do everything in the beginning and then track. Where did I have the most successful conversations? Where did I actually get my business from? And you need to track that like quarterly. What did I do in the last 3 months? Did I do anything? Do I need to do more? Yeah, track everything. Like, don't just be on an endless spiral. You need to have time stamps on things. You need to have accountability on things. You need to be tracking things. Like I said, it wasn't until the Keller Williams team leader called me and started talking to me about my numbers that I actually realized I had a business. And I was already in the business for however many years, and I wasn't treating it like a business. But this is one of the things businesses do. They track where their business comes from. And then they do more of that. Why would you do more of all these other things? It's the 80-20. 80% of your business comes from 20% of the things you're doing. So zero in on the 20%. Don't do all of it. Don't do 100% ever. You can't. Don't try. So that's a great article. Thank you. And do what you like. Do what you can do at nauseum. Like, I can do open houses at nauseum. I could go and stand there and do showings at nauseum. I love it. I love it.
It's definitely a good point, because some days I feel very exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Rich, thank you so much for that tips, because that does help me what I need to follow through, either daily or every other day or once a week, something like that. But I do want to kind of follow Rich and Jess. When you guys have a listing appointment, I just want to sit down and just listen what you guys have to say. And how do you guys lead into that conversation that you just told me, Rich? So like those kind of thing is very helpful for me, because I'm not the person that just by looking at the screen and learn by that. I am a person that I just actually go out there and see what one of my seasoned agent is having a conversation with the sellers, even buyers, so
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys feel up to, I'm not pushing it to.
I feel like I should
that,
low key, like I should have recorded Rich. I mean, really, Rich, I haven't said this to you, and I am not trying to blow up your head at all, but I would
Right.
have handled that differently and I would not have been as successful. And I feel like just seeing the way he literally partnered with the seller, like, yeah, you're right. Because I think he was worried about days on market. He was worried about exposure on the MLS. What if it doesn't sell? Like, Rich was like, yeah, you're right. Days on market is a factor, and met with him there, but then brought him into the reality of like, but honestly, most buyers don't really focus on that. Here's what they focus on. But he didn't tell him no. He didn't argue with him. He didn't say, well, that's not what I would do.
He gives,
He didn't say, well, it has to go on the MLS. What are you, crazy? He was like, well, he goes, that probably wouldn't be what I recommend, but let's talk about what that looks like. I was like, holy shit. Like, so many people want to go, no, dummy, like I said, and you can't, because now you've told this person that what they're telling you, you're not listening, and it's not important. That's what you just said to your seller by arguing, by giving them your opinion. How the fuck do you know? Who are you? Like every situation is different, and Rich is very open to changing how he does business on not every single thing is going to be the same. So the agent can't be the same, and the answer can't be the same, and the strategy cannot be the same. Where you have somebody that wants to overprice it, then friggin' overprice it. Let's see what that looks like. We'll have another conversation. Where I would traditionally not take an overpriced listing. I'd be like, listen, let's come down. Let's make this make sense with the market, but I could be wrong there too. So it was good to have a conversation. And eventually the guy got where I think we feel comfortable, but it was because I say we, I'm taking credit.
But also also that gives the seller, because Rich was so open-minded and explained and answers to everything what the seller said, that makes seller rethinking too. And that's what I would like to look at it. And I'm not saying every transaction or every seller is going to be the same way, just like you say, Jess, but we can prep of ourselves to be more openly, because I will do the same thing. I have such a hot-headed, I will do why, my comps coming out to be,
don't do that. That's dumb. Yeah,
why would you want to sit on the market for? Like, that's not what I want.
But we don't, but how much do we really know that, right? How much do we really know that that's what's going to happen?
Exactly.
You don't. So you might as well be open to partnering with the seller on, what they think, what they want to see. It's their house at the end of the day. Like we say, we put them in the driver's seat. So put them in the driver's seat. And he still ended up doing exactly what Rich recommended, just because he didn't say no. It's like, I was like, and I literally was saying, like, I'm watching this unfold and I love it. Like I learned a lot in that moment, and I'm doing this 15 years. And I learned from Rich that day. So we learn from each other and helping each other. And that's why we like having these conversations too, because there's always something you can do a little bit better.
I think
So
go ahead, Young. Go ahead.
Well, Rich, you haven't tell me the answer to it. Say, yeah, you can piggyback ride with me and go look at it.
Well,
or see how this all works out.
Being there, I don't know if we can execute a ride along type thing or whatever. I don't know, because how many agents want to be present at an actual listing presentation. I will say though, we're all different human beings and we're all going to do things differently. So there is no one way to do things. I think what I do, and I've noticed this, I do this both for sellers and buyers, is oftentimes when I give advice, I don't actually give advice to their specific situation. I give advice as to what I generally see, or what we often see in the market is when someone does this is the outcome. And it's almost like, do I want to tell a cautionary tale here where if I tell you their house is worth 265 and we listed at 295, oftentimes what we see is days on market. And what, you don't exactly say, well, you're going to feel the pain of that. Shame on you. You don't put it on them. You say, this is what generally happens, right? Or a buyer wants to lowball a property, I'm like, okay, I will present any offer you want to present, but oftentimes, and when I'm the listing agent and I receive a real low offer, it sets a tone that doesn't really get recovered very well. Even if you come up from that first offer, it still sets a tone of like, ugh, I don't really value your property. So I generalize it such that it's not kind of like an admonishment on their decision, but it's an admonishment on like, be aware of the implications of this decision you're about to make, because it does have an implication, not just, well, I want to get a deal. Well, you might throw away the chance of the deal if you try too hard to get a deal. So there's things that I think I put in global terms when I'm really trying to say, don't do this, because this is not the best move. But I don't just say, don't do that. No, that works for me.
Right.
I'm going to just stop the recording. And thank you for joining Market Monday.